The room is quiet, save for the faint hum of the city outside. Elle Ward sits alone, her voice steady but carrying the weight of someone who has lived through something they never expected. She begins to speak, her tone both reflective and raw, as if she's finally ready to unburden herself. "This is a story I never thought I'd share," she says, her voice low but clear. "It's about betrayal, temptation, and the moment my life spiraled out of control. It all started on a crowded metro ride with my son. My name is Elle Ward. I'm 42 years old. I've been married to Samuel Henson for almost 2 decades. He's a good man. Hardworking. Reliable. But somewhere along the way, we stopped seeing each other. Not just physically, emotionally. I felt like I was fading into the background of my own life. Like I was becoming invisible. Our son, Rowan, is 18. He's smart, kind, and so much like his father. But even with him, I felt this distance. Like I was just going through the motions. Wake up. Make breakfast. Go to work. Come home. Repeat. It was as if I was living someone else's life, not mine." Another pause. This time, it feels like she's gathering her thoughts, deciding how much to reveal. That day on the metro, it was supposed to be ordinary. Just another Tuesday. Rowan and I were heading downtown. He had his headphones on, lost in his own world. I was sitting there, staring out the window, wondering how I'd ended up here. How I'd become this person I barely recognized. And then, everything changed. The words linger, leaving a sense of anticipation. Elle doesn't elaborate yet. Instead, she lets the moment settle, drawing the listener in. This isn't just a story about what happened. It's about why it happened. About the choices I made. The people I hurt. And the person I became because of it. She takes a deep breath, her voice steadying once more. "So, if you're ready, I'll tell you everything." "There was a time when Samuel and I were inseparable," she says, a faint smile in her voice. "We met in college. He was the kind of guy who could light up a room just by walking into it. Confident, charming, and so sure of himself. I was drawn to that. To him. We were young, in love, and convinced we could take on the world together. Our wedding day was perfect. Small, intimate, just the way we wanted it. I remember looking into his eyes and thinking, this is it. This is my person." And for a long time, he was. We built a life together. A home. A family. But somewhere along the way, we lost each other. Samuel's always been a hard worker. Ambitious. And I admired that about him. But as the years went by, work became his everything. Late nights at the office. Weekend meetings. Business trips that stretched into weeks. At first, I told myself it was just a phase. That he was doing it for us. For our future. But the truth is, I stopped feeling like a priority. I stopped feeling like I mattered. I tried to talk to him about it. More times than I can count. But every conversation ended the same way. "Elle, you know I love you. But this is just how it has to be right now." And I believed him. I wanted to believe him. But the distance between us kept growing. And I didn't know how to fix it. Then there's Rowan. Our son. My baby. He's 18 now, but sometimes I still see the little boy who used to climb into bed with us on Saturday mornings, begging for pancakes. He's always been so much like Samuel. Smart. Driven. But lately, he's changed. He's quieter. More distant. Like he's trying to figure out who he is and where he fits in the world. Teenagers, right? One minute, he's asking for advice. The next, he's rolling his eyes like I'm the most clueless person on the planet. But I get it. I remember what it's like to be that age. To feel like no one understands you. To want to break free and find your own path. I just wish I knew how to reach him. How to let him know I'm here. That I see him. That I love him. But sometimes, it feels like I'm failing at that too. The weight of her words hangs in the air, heavy and unspoken. Our family used to feel like a team. Like we were in this together. But now, it's like we're all living separate lives under the same roof. Samuel buried in his work. Rowan pulling away. And me, just trying to hold it all together. I didn't realize how lonely I was until that day on the metro. Until I looked around and realized how much I'd been missing. How much I'd been ignoring. And how much I wanted more. The admission is quiet, almost a whisper, but it carries the weight of everything she's been holding back. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all began. To the moment everything changed. It was a Tuesday. Just an ordinary Tuesday, Elle begins, her voice steady but carrying a hint of tension. Rowan and I were on our way downtown. He had an appointment, and I had some errands to run. The metro was packed, as usual. People crammed together, everyone in their own little world. I was standing near the door, facing the window. Rowan was behind me. At first, it didn't seem unusual. The train was crowded, and people were bumping into each other. I felt someone brush against me, but I didn't think much of it. It happens all the time on the metro. But then, it happened again. And again. This time, it was different. It wasn't just a bump. It was deliberate. I froze. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it was just the movement of the train. But deep down, I knew. I knew it wasn't. I could feel it. The way he was pressing against me. The way his hands. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. This was my son. My child. How could this be happening? I didn't know what to do. My heart was pounding. My mind was spinning. I wanted to turn around. To confront him. To scream. But I couldn't. I just stood there, paralyzed. The train kept moving, and so did he. It felt like an eternity, but it was only a few minutes. Finally, the doors opened at the next stop, and I stepped off. I didn't even look back. I just walked. Fast. Away from the station. Away from him. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. I wandered the streets for hours, trying to make sense of what had happened. Trying to figure out what I had done wrong. How I had let things get to this point. But no matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't find an answer. All I knew was that nothing would ever be the same again. That day on the metro, it was the catalyst. The moment everything changed. But it wasn't just about what happened. It was about everything that led up to it. The distance between Samuel and me. The growing tension with Rowan. The feeling of being invisible in my own life. It all came crashing down in those few minutes on the train. And it was only the beginning. I didn't confront him. Not then. Not on the metro. I couldn't. My mind was a mess. One part of me wanted to scream, to turn around and demand an explanation. But another part of me. I don't know. Maybe I was afraid of what I'd see in his eyes. Maybe I was afraid of what it would mean if I acknowledged it. So I stayed silent. I got off the train, and I walked away. For days, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I replayed it over and over in my head. Every detail. Every second. I kept asking myself, did I imagine it? Did I misinterpret it? But deep down, I knew I hadn't. It was real. And it was intentional. Then the guilt set in. I started questioning myself. Wondering if I had done something to make him think it was okay. Had I been too casual? Too affectionate? Had I blurred some line without realizing it? I went over every interaction we'd ever had, searching for answers. But the more I thought about it, the more confused I became. I couldn't find a reason. I couldn't find an excuse. I felt ashamed. Ashamed of what had happened. Ashamed of how I'd reacted. Ashamed of the thoughts that started creeping into my mind. Thoughts I didn't want to have. Thoughts I couldn't control. I didn't know who to talk to. I couldn't tell Samuel. How could I? What would he think of me? Of Rowan? And Rowan? I couldn't face him. Not after what had happened. Not after what I was feeling. I started questioning everything. My role as a mother. My role as a woman. Had I failed him? Had I failed myself? I didn't know anymore. All I knew was that I felt lost. Like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, and one wrong step would send me tumbling into the abyss. The incident on the metro didn't just shake me. It shattered me. It forced me to confront things I'd been ignoring for years. About my marriage. About my son. About myself. And as much as I wanted to pretend it hadn't happened, I couldn't. It was there, like a shadow, following me everywhere I went. But I couldn't stay in that place forever. I knew I had to do something. I just didn't know what. And that uncertainty, it was almost worse than the incident itself. After the metro incident, things at home changed. I couldn't look at Rowan the same way. Every time he walked into the room, I felt this unease. Like I didn't know how to act around him anymore. I avoided being too close to him. I stopped hugging him. I stopped touching him altogether. Even a casual pat on the shoulder felt wrong. I told myself it was temporary. That I just needed time to process what had happened. But the truth is, I didn't know if I'd ever feel comfortable around him again. Rowan noticed, of course. How could he not? He started giving me these looks. Confused. Hurt. Sometimes even angry. But he didn't say anything. Not at first. And neither did I. We just existed in this strange, uncomfortable silence. It was like there was this wall between us, and neither of us knew how to break it down. Samuel noticed too. He'd come home from work and see us sitting at the dinner table, not saying a word to each other. He'd ask what was going on, but I could never bring myself to tell him. How could I? How could I explain something I didn't even understand myself? So I brushed it off. Told him it was just teenage stuff. That Rowan was going through a phase. Samuel bought it. Or maybe he just didn't want to deal with it. Either way, he didn't push. He just went back to work, like he always did. But the tension didn't go away. If anything, it got worse. Every day felt like a battle. A battle to act normal. To pretend everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. I was falling apart, and no one seemed to notice. Or maybe they did, and they just didn't care. Her words slow, as if she's struggling to articulate the weight of her emotions. I started spending more time alone. I'd go for long walks after work, just to clear my head. Sometimes I'd sit in the park for hours, watching people go by, wondering if they had secrets too. If they were carrying the same kind of pain. It was easier to be around strangers than to be at home. At least with strangers, I didn't have to pretend. The worst part was the guilt. It followed me everywhere. I kept asking myself if I'd done something wrong. If I'd somehow caused this. If I'd failed as a mother. The questions never stopped. And neither did the doubt. It was like this endless loop, playing over and over in my head. And no matter how much I tried to push it away, it always came back. But I couldn't stay like that forever. I knew I had to do something. I just didn't know what. And that uncertainty, it was almost worse than the incident itself. It was around that time that I met Maximus Vasquez. He was new at work. Charming, confident, and always seemed to know the right thing to say. At first, I didn't think much of him. He was just another colleague. But then, one day, he noticed something was off. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe I looked tired, or maybe I was quieter than usual. Whatever it was, he picked up on it. He asked if I was okay. Just like that. No pretense. No small talk. Just a simple, genuine question. And for some reason, I told him the truth. Not everything, of course. But enough. I told him I was going through a rough time. That I felt lost. And he listened. Really listened. He didn't try to fix it. He didn't offer advice. He just let me talk. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like someone actually saw me. After that, we started talking more. It was little things at first. A quick chat in the break room. A joke shared over coffee. But then it became more. He'd ask how I was doing, and I'd tell him. He'd share things about his life too. His struggles. His dreams. It felt easy. Natural. Like I didn't have to pretend with him. Like I could just be myself. Maximus was different from Samuel. He was attentive. Present. He noticed the little things, the way I'd fidget when I was nervous, the way I'd smile even when I wasn't happy. And he cared. Not in the way Samuel used to care, back when we were young and in love. But in a way that made me feel valued. Like I mattered. We started spending more time together. Lunch breaks turned into long conversations. Work projects turned into shared goals. And before I knew it, I was looking forward to seeing him. To talking to him. To being around him. It wasn't anything dramatic. No grand gestures. No sweeping declarations. Just connection. Understanding. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel so alone. But even as I grew closer to Maximus, I couldn't shake the guilt. The knowledge that I was hiding something from Samuel. That I was letting someone else into a part of my life that should have been his. But Samuel wasn't there. Not really. And Maximus, he was. And that made all the difference. I didn't plan for it to happen. I didn't go looking for it. But it happened anyway. And as much as I tried to fight it, I couldn't deny how it made me feel. Seen. Heard. Alive. And after so long in the shadows, it was hard to let that go. It started small. Innocent, even. Maximus and I would talk. Really talk. About everything. About nothing. He made me laugh in a way I hadn't in years. He listened in a way Samuel hadn't in even longer. And slowly, without even realizing it, I found myself looking forward to those moments. To him. He was everything Samuel wasn't: attentive, affectionate, present. And I was drawn to that. To him. But it wasn't just about what he gave me. It was about how he made me feel. Seen. Valued. Like I mattered. And after so long feeling invisible in my own life, it was intoxicating. But it was also terrifying. Because I knew what it meant. I knew where it could lead. And I didn't know if I was ready for that. I tried to fight it. I told myself it was just a friendship. That I was just lonely. That it would pass. But the more time I spent with him, the harder it became to deny what I was feeling. I was torn. Torn between my loyalty to Samuel, to my family, and this need to feel alive again. To feel something other than the emptiness that had taken over my life. Then came the argument. Samuel and I had been drifting further apart, and that night, it all came to a head. He came home late, again, and I snapped. I told him how I felt. How alone I was. How invisible. But he didn't get it. He just dismissed it. Told me I was overreacting. That I didn't understand how hard he was working. And something in me broke. I left. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. And somehow, I ended up at Maximus's door. I didn't plan it. I didn't think about it. I just went. And when he opened the door, I didn't have to say anything. He saw it all on my face. And he didn't ask questions. He didn't push. He just let me in. What happened next? I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. It just happened. And in that moment, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Like I was finally letting go of all the pain, all the loneliness, all the emptiness. But even as it was happening, I knew it was wrong. I knew I was crossing a line I could never uncross. And yet, I didn't stop. Afterward, I felt everything. Guilt. Shame. Relief. Validation. It was like this storm of emotions, all crashing into me at once. I didn't know how to process it. How to make sense of it. All I knew was that something had changed. Something inside me. And I didn't know if I could go back to the way things were. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying it all in my head. Wondering what it meant. Wondering if my marriage was worth saving. Wondering if I even wanted to save it. And the truth is, I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. But one thing was clear. I couldn't keep living the way I had been. Something had to change. I just didn't know what. Or how. Or if I was ready to face the consequences. Things at home got worse after that night. Samuel and I barely spoke. When we did, it was tense. Short. Like we were strangers sharing a house, not a life. I tried to pretend everything was normal, but it wasn't. How could it be? I was carrying this secret, this weight, and it was eating me alive. But I didn't know how to tell him. I didn't know if I even wanted to. Rowan noticed too. He'd always been observant, even as a kid. But now, he was watching me. Really watching. Like he could see right through me. He'd ask if I was okay, and I'd lie. Tell him I was fine. But he didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. And it killed me, knowing I was adding to whatever he was already dealing with. But I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to fix anything. Maximus didn't make it easier. He wanted more. He wanted me to choose. To decide what I wanted. And I couldn't. I was torn. Torn between the life I had and the life I thought I wanted. Torn between the guilt of what I'd done and the relief of finally feeling seen. And the more he pushed, the more I realized I couldn't keep living in this limbo. I had to make a decision. But every time I tried, I froze. Then it all came crashing down. Samuel found out. I don't know how. Maybe he sensed it. Maybe he'd been suspicious all along. But one night, he confronted me. He'd found a text. Something small. Something I thought I'd deleted. But it was enough. And when he asked me if it was true, I couldn't lie. Not anymore. The argument was explosive. All the things we'd been holding back came pouring out. The anger. The hurt. The betrayal. It was like this dam had broken, and there was no stopping it. He yelled. I yelled. And in the middle of it all, I realized something. This wasn't just about the affair. This was about everything. The distance. The loneliness. The years of feeling like I didn't matter. And for the first time, I said it all. Every last bit of it. But the worst part wasn't the fight. It was what happened after. Rowan overheard. I didn't realize he was home. I didn't realize he was listening. But when I saw his face, it shattered me. He looked at me like he didn't even know who I was. And maybe he didn't. Maybe I didn't either. Samuel left that night. He didn't say where he was going. he just walked out. And Rowan, he didn't say a word. He just went to his room and closed the door. And I was left standing there, alone, wondering how it had all gone so wrong. In that moment, I realized there was no going back. No fixing it. No pretending it hadn't happened. The life I'd built was crumbling around me, and I had no one to blame but myself. But even as I stood there, surrounded by the wreckage, I couldn't help but wonder, was this the end? Or was it the beginning of something else? Things at home got worse after that night. Samuel and I barely spoke. When we did, it was tense. Cold. Like we were strangers living under the same roof. I tried to pretend everything was normal, but it wasn't. How could it be? I was carrying this secret, this weight, and it was eating me alive. Samuel noticed, of course. He'd give me these looks, like he was trying to figure out what was wrong. But he never asked. Not really. And I never told him. Rowan noticed too. He started watching me more closely. Like he could sense something was off. One day, he asked me if I was okay. Just like that. Out of nowhere. And for a moment, I thought about telling him. About everything. But I couldn't. How could I? So I lied. I told him I was fine. That it was just work. That it was just stress. But I could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe me. Maximus, he wasn't as patient as he'd been before. He wanted answers. He wanted me to make a decision. About him. About us. About my future. And I didn't know what to tell him. I didn't know what I wanted. All I knew was that I couldn't keep living in this limbo. But the thought of leaving Samuel, of breaking up my family, it terrified me. And yet, the thought of staying, of going back to the way things were, that terrified me even more. Then it all came crashing down. Samuel found out. I don't know how. Maybe he'd been suspicious for a while. Maybe he'd been looking for answers. But one night, he confronted me. He'd found a text. Something small. Something careless. But it was enough. And just like that, everything was out in the open. The argument was brutal. He yelled. I cried. We said things we couldn't take back. Things I'll never forget. And in the middle of it all, Rowan walked in. He'd been listening. He'd heard everything. And the look on his face, it broke me. He didn't say a word. He just stood there, staring at me, like he didn't even recognize me anymore. And then he walked away. That night changed everything. Samuel moved out. Rowan barely spoke to me. And Maximus, he kept pushing. He wanted me to choose. But how could I? How could I choose between the life I'd built and the life I thought I wanted? Between the people I loved and the person I'd become? I don't have all the answers. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I know this much, I can't go back. And I'm not sure I want to. The only question is, where do I go from here? If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, or if it made you think, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you have your own thoughts about what I should do next, well, I'm all ears. Because the truth is, I'm still figuring it out. And maybe that's okay.